Welcome into the Aftershock. Phillip Leyva with us and Alex Morgan as always. Phil, let's kick it over to you first. And you're at the stadium tonight. Alex not able to be there to join you this time, but you got to witness a really good game, one that got up and down pretty early. And while the Sounders seemed to control the early tempo, once the Quakes took the lead, they seemed to never look back. What was your feeling from the stadium there?
Well, first of all, for a Wednesday night game, there's a lot of buzz going around the stadium. I mean, there's still folks right now all around getting player signings, cheering on the players as they walk across the bridge. And so there's a lot going on here. I have to say, though, a 2-0 win, even though it's a Wednesday night, feels enormous for this team. It just seems like Luchi, had his game plan. He came in so well prepared for the Sounders team and exploited the spaces throughout. It was just one of those matches where it didn't ever seem like the Quakes were going to let off the gas. It seemed like they were the better team throughout the night, and the Sounders were definitely on the back foot. So, just kind of keeping track of formation. Actually, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about in terms of what you saw from your perspective. I know Anae and I here at the stadium had conversations about the defensive shape and sort of Paul Marie's role on the left side, more so as a left mid rather than a left back. So a lot of interesting things to talk about. And of course, guys, I think the big news here, Jack Skane's performance, right? We've been talking about the number 10 position and sort of centrally some of the difficulties the team has had under Jamon Moore throughout. So, it looks like we're already going over to the presser. Or?
Nope, that was just me making sure I had it up, ready to go.
Okay, yeah. But actually, I'm gonna kick it over back to Alex really quickly to get your perspective on that, Alex, because you have been talking about Jamon Moore's performances these last few games, and I think Skane in a way occupies that space here in this match, and so kind of interested to hear what you thought about his performance.
Yeah, who would have known that Jack Skane would be San Jose's Player of the Month in the month of July? But after his Cali Classico goal and performance, after last week's assist that he got at LAFC, a gorgeous ball into Christian Espinosa, and another really solid performance tonight, I think you have to hand it to him. This is San Jose's last match in Major League Soccer in the month of July because of this big Leagues Cup break. Perhaps that's why the atmosphere is so fun at the stadium, Phil. Everyone's soaking it up. Might be a little nostalgic knowing that they're not going to get to see this team play again until August, because it really feels like they have figured it out. They were entering the meh part of the season. That's what we were saying. They were 5 matches without a win going into this one, and now they figured it out because Jack Skane has brought intensity, energy into this lineup and raised the level. And because Luchi Gonzalez has figured out a system that works, because with all the absences, international injuries that he's had, he's been forced to adapt and adjust, and he's found a really dynamic, flexible tactical system where you have in the build-up phase a 4-3-3 and in the defensive phase a 3-5-2. That's given San Jose a lot of flexibility, and it's worked really well with the personnel they've had. And now they're 2 games and 2 wins against the Seattle Sounders. They're one of the best teams in Major League Soccer. So you can't complain with this one, Jamon. I don't know what more you could ask for.
No, I completely agree. When you have a team come into your stadium and control the tempo early, it's easy to get unnerved by that. It's easy to feel a little bit desperate at times. And, I think what was really good about the Earthquakes tonight is they kind of understood what their game plan was supposed to be. I don't think they intended to hold the possession against Seattle coming in. I think it was always to be able to play a double pivot, get Jack Skane up high as you can to support Jeremy Abobasi, make sure that you got Christian Espinoza into the game and utilized him. Decide what you need to do in terms of Marie and Trauco. Either one of them could get forward at any time. Either one of them could play outside back. It was almost like a little bit of an unbalanced formation, almost intentionally unbalanced a little bit, because, Marie would come inside so much at times as Skane moved over to the right. So, I liked it. And at the end of the day, it worked extremely well. What I was really pleased with was the second half, that, the Seattle attack felt completely toothless, that there was never really, other than the penalty shout against Rodriguez, there was never really a moment where you thought, oh, Seattle was going to get back into this game once the penalty was weighed off by Flo's Padakis, it was probably, it was lights out, for the Sounders.
Jamon, because here's the thing. Even though the Quakes only had 37% possession, they were in control. They controlled the ball, the game, without needing to have the ball. And I think it's a classic example of a smash and grab victory where they were very dangerous on the counterattack with Christian Espinosa in a slightly more central advanced position, able to make more runs in behind, able to press the back line more. And then defensively, they have numbers back there. And you saw them at the end of the game playing with essentially 5 at the back, a back line of 5. And then Judson and Grezzo doing a great job protecting that back line. Seattle are so dangerous. You saw in the first 20 minutes just how quickly they're able to break through the middle, 1-2 touch. Before you can realize what's happened, they've broken 1 or 2 lines already. But Grezzo and Judson never felt like they got caught out. And this was a pretty rock solid defensive midfield partnership in a game where they really needed to step up, and a partnership that we haven't seen before. A player with Judson who just last week we were talking about has chronic knee injuries and is probably on his last legs, stepping up and putting in a really solid performance in a key moment.
No, definitely. That was one of the concerns I had coming into this match too. Like, I had assumed that he would get subbed out early in the second half. I didn't anticipate that he would be able to put in that much time. And look, with the defensive midfielders in there, I thought that the team played really well. And you said it was like a smash and grab, Alex, but I think you got to give the team a little bit more credit here. I think they played very patiently. They played with finesse. They passed the ball around well. Sure, they didn't have a lot of possession throughout the match, but they kept bottling up Seattle every time they tried to attack. And so, yeah, they were passing the ball around the back line throughout the match, but there were so many times where the Quakes would engage with the press and Seattle would pass it around and had nowhere to go. They just had no ideas, and it just seemed like to be the case throughout the match. And I think looking into how many shots they had in the second half, I think it's really telling too that even as they made their substitutions, they still struggled nonetheless.
Phil, there's only one shot that matters in that second half. I'm forgetting about everything else.
Right.
There's only one, the Miguel Trauco banger.
Right.
Goal of the week in Major League Soccer.
It's definitely goal of the week.
I think it's probably going to be San Jose's goal of the season.
Well, I had to say a shout out to Sarah, because she was down taking pictures on the field during warm-ups, and she was saying Trauco has already hit a couple of bangers, which normally when players are on, they're on. So coming into the match, that was something that I was definitely looking at. And I'd mentioned it to Ane too, that this was, a possibility. So a little bit of Nostradamus here on our team, I think, and calling the shot.
And Trauco has scored from that exact position before. We saw probably the next best Earthquakes goal this season from essentially that exact same spot off of Miguel Trauco's left foot earlier this year. He's clearly got the minimum.
Yeah, I mean, he's got it zeroed in, right? That's a good spot for him. So it was cool to see it tonight, and just fantastic all around for the squad. So.
Yeah, and Cleveland in the game, and just for anyone who's not aware, Stephen Fry still working his way back from a head injury. Looks like he might be able to come back here fairly soon. But Cleveland has been, their backup for some time, and there's nothing he was going to do about the Trauco shot. It was past him before he even thought about diving. It was so hard, and on the penalty. Christian, he picked the right side. He had a good stretch. Christian Espinoza hits his penalties so hard that they're unsavable because he puts it right into that pocket, right into the side netting pocket. And it doesn't matter if it's Stephen Fry. It doesn't matter if it's Matt Turner. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's the Panamanian goalkeeper today. Nobody is going to be able to reach that.
The Panamanian goalkeeper did save Christian Roldan's kick, which was very similar, Jay.
I could have saved that.
No, Christian Roldan's was not very good, guys. That was left center cut. It was not in the corner. Espinoza's was in the corner, right beside the post. It was perfect.
Are we calling this 2 wins for the Earthquakes today? You have Roldan missing the penalty for the USMNT, while Cade Cowell made his against Canada. Now you have a 2-0 win tonight. Is that a double victory for the Earthquakes?
It's clear that Berhalter will be rating Cade Cowell above Christian Roldan. I think that's pretty clear. So, yes, I think he is the better player in this instance. But one thing I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about too was the lead up to that penalty. I thought was really great for the team. I mean, the pass in, to the box, Jeremy Abobasi with a little move and just all around seasoned professionalism to draw that foul. And I thought it was kind of interesting that Espinosa, which he is their penalty kick taker, immediately stepped up and took the shot. So puts it away, shows that he's once again one of the leaders on this team. But also, one thing that we haven't mentioned that's incredibly important is that during this match, Christian Espinoza passed Shea Salinas for the all-time assist records for the club. So huge congratulations to Christian on that feat. And it's just another notch on his belt and a wonderful season for him, especially heading into the All-Star game. I mean, he's looking fantastic.
He had one taken away, and it got me completely confused because I thought he'd already passed the record. So I didn't mention it. But Kylan Mills confirmed that tonight he broke the record. So make sure that everyone's aware that tonight was the night that the all-time assist record was broken by Christian Espinosa.
And we had some doubts these last few weeks about Christian Espinosa's performances. I think at the end of June, we'd started to see Christian Espinosa get locked down by defenders, get double team, get isolated a little bit more because teams were pressing him. Luchi Gonzalez was aware of that. That's why Christian Espinosa started on the left wing in the California Clasico against the LA Galaxy. But I think in these last two games, the LAFC game and the tonight's game, with him playing in a slightly more central position in a more 3-5-2 setup and able to make those runs in behind, we've seen him look a lot more dangerous, get involved in the play a lot more, and get rewarded with 2 goals and an assist in two games now, and he is showing Alex, why he's going to the MLS All-Star game next week.
He's not the only one who's benefited from this change as well. Like, there are other players who have been occupying that space, and this has been one of those zones for the Quakes where they found a lot of success. I mean, Jack Skane is like one of the ultimate examples tonight who effectively was able to go in and do so well in that space. But we have Miguel Trauco occupying that space. We have Paul Marie doing the same. So, and Paul Marie, by the way, playing higher up in the pitch this match. And I think, I don't know how it looked to you guys, but from my perspective, seemed like they were working more with the 4-man backline and having Paul Marie moving more so into the left mid position. But occupying that space more often, which draws more of the defenders away from the space that Christian Espinosa is going to occupy also on the right flank. So he is just getting more opportunities to use his talent to send those balls in or to cut in and take shots. And I think that's why we're seeing him so effective for the team right now.
Yeah, that left side is really interesting to watch because, as Jamon said earlier, it is unbalanced and it is fluid, and it's sometimes hard to pin down, right? Because in defense, you have Paul Marie essentially acting as a left wing back. He's dropping deeper. He's taking up a lot of the same space as Miguel Trauco. And then on offense, he's flying down that wing. He looks like a left winger, like Benji Gakanovic or Cade Cowell would. And then in transition, he can kind of be wherever he wants, and it gives him that flexibility to get down the wing and find his spots and to create space also for Miguel Trauco to step up into the midfield and step centrally, because we know how dangerous Miguel Trauco is centrally. Heck, he played as a central midfielder, just last week when the Quakes needed somebody to step in the midfield there. So we know what Miguel Trauco can do when he steps centrally. And this formation gives the Quakes the flexibility in whatever phase of play to utilize all of those strengths. And I'm almost like sad that we might not see this going forward, because with Cade Cowell returning from the national team lineup, with Jackson Ewell returning from the national team lineup, there's a chance that Luchi Gonzalez will just go back to the 4-3-3, the regular old 4-3-3, which feels a little boring now, Jamon.
Well, I don't know about that, Alex, because he has been playing out. I mean, look at what's happening with Jonathan Mensah, right? We don't know the full story behind that, but we're talking about a player who we thought would be a lock-in as a starter in this team, and he's not getting those minutes. So this could be an instance for, these guys who are playing on the left side, who are playing centrally, who are getting these opportunities because of players being gone, like Jackson Ewell, like Cade Cowell, that you go with the hot hand. So I don't know necessarily that's going to be the case. Although it's, after watching Cal during the Gold Cup, it would be really hard for him not to very quickly earn his spot back with this squad, because he was actually playing well in a lot of these games as well for the U.S. men's national team.
All right, guys. So something really telling to me, and I know, look, we've talked a bit about Jack Skane because he has been, very good recently. But tonight, on a night when Miguel Trauco hit one of the greatest goals in PayPal Park history, The chat is talking about Jack Skane. That's how impressive he has been. So when everyone is back, when Montero is fit, when Yule is back, when Kate is back, who sits? Because it should not be Jack Skane right now. I can tell you that. Who sits out of this lineup?
I mean, for me, the answer is easy. It's going to be Jamiro Montero, and it's just a matter of performance. It's not a matter of talent or what he's capable of or what he brings to this team, because we know that Jamiro Montero is one of the more technically talented players on this team. He's a good decision maker. He passes the ball well. He knows how to fight out of really tight spaces when he gets caught up with defenders. But the fact of the matter is, Jack Skane is playing on another level right now, and I think he's earned the position. So I don't know, Alex, do you agree with that, or do you think that Jamiro steps right back into the spot?
Is it weird to say that I think they should all sit? That after tying LAFC on the road and looking like the better team in that match, winning the XG battle, after beating the Seattle Sounders 2-0 at home, that's only their second multi-goal victory of the season. And another performance where they have more XG, 1.6 XG to 0.6 XG. I don't see why you'd change the lineup. It's a working system. Why would you try to fix something that's not broke? I think that if there's one change I would make, it might be to put Yule back in the midfield, only because I'm not sure about Judson's fitness and his ability to go 90 consistently week in, week out. Otherwise, I am leaving that front line and that midfield alone because it is working right now. And honestly, I like guys like Jamiro Montero and Cade Cowell better off the bench anyways. We've seen how good Cade Cowell is off the bench when he's playing for the U.S. men's national team, when he has more space, when the defenders are tired, and his pressure is really, really dangerous. And Jamiro Montero, when he gets space, I don't think I've ever seen Jamon so vehemently agree with me. This is
I've been saying this for years.
A new look.
For years.
Even Jamiro Montero, I think, functions better when there is more space for him to pick his passes and to find the right ball. So I think you keep the starting lineup the same, and you just have both of those guys off the bench as super subs.
Yeah, we're going to have one more game with Yule suspended anyway, so that's a really good point. We don't quite know, right, with the Leagues Cup coming, who's going to come out of Leagues Cup, fully healthy and ready to go. But you don't know, if the Quakes make a deep run in Leagues Cup, right, that might affect some things coming in the other side. If the Quakes are out early, against, a road game in Portland and against, one of the best teams in Liga MX in Tigres, then, anything's possible in terms of how they come back. But yes, the very first game that Yule is back in MLS, that's when he will have to serve his suspension. His time away at the national team does not count against a suspension for anyone who's not aware.
Now, this is an interesting take here from Martin. It's Jebo that needs to be dropped and changes up front. Jamon, could you envision a scenario where you have Christian Espinosa playing as a number 9 and you have Cade Cowell playing on the opposite wing?
No, but I could envision a situation in which you decide that you want Cade on the pitch and you may need to give Abobasi a bit of a rest. I thought he performed pretty well tonight. He did create the penalty. There was some good combination play in the box. I don't think he's the problem right now. I think he hasn't gotten service. And tonight he got a bit of that from Jack, but he still is not getting it, very much from other areas. Even Christian Espinoza has had a difficult time finding him. It's because, of course, defenses are keying on that combination, and they're making sure to track Jeremy Abobasi when Christian Espinoza is on the ball. You would too if you were playing this team, right? But what they don't see is Jack Skane coming out of nowhere, because all the Seattle fans tonight in my feed were like, who is Jack Skane? Right? And teams are going to have to figure that out now too. He's no longer going to be a secret. There's 4 games of tape of this guy starting, and teams are going to have to start scheming a little bit to account for him. And then you get Cade Cowell back and Jackson Yule back. It's nice. Like, the Quakes suddenly feel like they have depth that they didn't have a month ago. It's kind of weird. It feels even less like they have to have another signing, because Jack Skane right now is another signing. He's because he wasn't playing before.
We had talked about this a couple of shows ago, Jamon, in terms of unlocking some of the potential of this squad. And I think one of the things that carried over from the last match, and we didn't necessarily see the 4-4-2 that we saw before, but seeing Jeremy Ebobisse occupy that space high, and even Jack Skane at times pushing up high and creating more space in the midfield allowed some of the other players to come in and be effective in that space. And I just think, like Alex had said this before, one of the big problems is they have done that. However, Jamiro Montero, who has been occupying that space in the 10 position, hasn't been able to find those passes to make anything happen. I think there have been issues on the wings as well. But I don't know. I think it would be really cool to see a 2-striker formation at some point here be employed a little bit more. I think that it was effective in their last match. And I think, it's one of those things where it allows Jeremy Ebobisse to be more effective as a striker as well. So, we're talking about different things that we could see from the squad in terms of their approach to the game, how they could progress throughout the season and become better and better and actually be higher up in the standings and possibly even get like a home match to start the playoffs. I think that's what it is. A signing is like a sexy thing. Like somebody comes in, it's flashy, it's awesome. But the fact of the matter is it takes time for somebody to integrate into a squad. It takes time for them to integrate into the city with the organization, their fellow players. And so there's no magic like silver bullet that's going to solve the problem. I think it comes from within. And we saw a lot of that tonight with Jack Skane.
And I think it's worth trying to break down a little bit some of the things that Skane has done particularly well, some of the things that made me go, wow, and I think will stand out if you watch, these 4 games of tape, which are, he's really, really good at pressing the ball and triggering the press just because he is really intense and surprisingly quick and has quick acceleration and good at reading the game. So tonight you saw him starting the press with Jeremy Ebobisse up front. And I think Jeremy Ebobisse generally tends to be in the right positions at the right times. I don't think he's a weakness in defense, but I don't see Jeremy Ebobisse winning the ball in that press that much, whereas Jack Skane wins the ball in that press. He makes center backs nervous and he starts dangerous transitions. And so that's one thing he does really well. And the other thing he does really well is that he turns with the ball in tight spaces and breaks lines on the dribble, and then is really good at distributing the ball. We saw a little bit of that from Nico Shakiris as well. Nico Shakiris is also good at getting in those spaces centrally, turning and driving forward. But the thing that's impressed me the most about Jack Skane is his ability to then pick the right pass, to keep his head up and to lay the ball off, distribute the ball at the exact right moment. And that's how you saw Jeremy Ebobisse win the penalty. And I think if you have Jack Skane in there on the ball, in those spaces, Jeremy Ebobisse is going to get enough service to do what he needs. I'm a little surprised by all the sort of trepidation about Jeremy Ebobisse today when he essentially did his job, which is win a penalty that gives the Quakes the go-ahead goal. I don't know if you can ask for much more of your starting striker. If he did that every game, he would be MVP of the season.
And thank you for distilling it down into that, Alex, because that's exactly what it is. He's doing his job at his position, right? He actually has the stats to back it up too. So I don't really see what the deal is with folks who don't believe that Jeremy Ebobisse is not an effective striker for this team. I mean, he's not going to score 30 goals this season. Yeah. I think we know that. But what he does for the squad, I think, opens up opportunities for the other players, and he's still scoring goals.
The lineup decision that really actually interests me is center back, because we saw another change back there tonight that I was not expecting. We saw Jonathan Mensah replaced again, lose his starting spot for the second time this season to Tanner Beeson. Tanner Beeson puts in a solid performance. The Quakes keep a clean sheet. Does he keep that starting spot now, Jamon? What happens in this back line? It seems like they have 2 good options back there, but it's unclear who Luchi Gonzalez prefers right now.
Yeah, I want to come back to some of these comments because there's some good comments that are worth talking about. But to answer your question, I think tonight was more of a rotation play, and I think it was a nod toward the quality that was shown in the last game against Seattle. That maybe they just feel from a matchup perspective that the better matchup against what Seattle is bringing in the back line is going to be Tanner Beeson, and there's a reason for it at times, because tonight one of the more dangerous situations that was created was off of a set piece that was played in behind. It was kind of a sneaky set piece, he actually read it the entire way. He moved as soon as Seattle started that set piece play. He was already moving, and he comfortably, blocked the shot attempt because he was already moving with it. It wasn't this reactionary thing that I feel like we've seen from him at times. Tonight, it was actually the right thing. But I do want to come back because there are some comments here about Jack Skane's sneaky good positioning, and I think this is one of the things that is his strength. And I was comparing in the Slack, I think it was, between what Jack Skane brings and what Cade Cowell brings. And what Cade Cowell brings is this raw athleticism, this ability to kind of change a game very, very quickly. And we saw it with the U.S. national team. He had a shot on goal that went off the post within 20 seconds of the start of the game today. And, as you said, Alex, and I agree with you, like, I think he's better off the bench, but he also has that ability to just come out of the starting gates and hit the other team and punch them in the mouth very quickly, potentially. And if that ball's, 6 inches to the left, it's in the back of the net and the U.S. is up 1-0, in 20 seconds, right? So, he's got that ability. That's what is great about Cade Cowell, is that ability to just kind of change a game. And have we seen him do that coming in off the bench for the U.S. men's national team? The great thing about Jack Skane is he's technical. He's almost as fast, surprisingly, he's almost as fast as Cade Cowell, and we've got the data that proves that. He's incredibly fast. He was third fastest on the team last year, and he made how many appearances? And within that amount of time, he logged the third fastest score.
How is that possible? He does not have a cheetah tattoo on his thigh. I don't believe it.
I have no idea. But that's how fast he is. And you don't see that coming. You do not look at Jack Skane and go like, oh, he's one of the fastest guys on this team. And so he kind of has that, but he's also been very, very good with his positioning. That goal at the Cali Classico is a good example of him understanding the situation and being in the right place in the right moment. And tonight and in the last game, you can pick out 3 or 4 moments where you're like, he's in a place that nobody else in this team would have read and been in that particular place. And that sneaky good positioning, and then you add on to that the pace once he reads the play and the situation. And I think that's why the pressing is as effective as it has been when he starts to run at people. That's why it's been really interesting to watch him is it starts from the good positioning and then goes from there.
Phil, I have lots of things to argue about with Jamon. I want to give you a chance to jump in before me and Jamon get caught up in it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of want to hear what you have to say in response to that. I'm okay. Here. Let me grab the popcorn. I'm ready.
Okay. First of all, Jamon said a lot of things here. We're going to have to take them one by one.
Take them one by one.
First of all, I don't see the reason why the Jonathan Mensah start would be a rotation play. Jamon, this is their last game before they go on a month-long break. I don't understand why.
Well, you can go ask Luchi because we're going to talk to him right now.
Okay. He's cutting me off. I see how it is.
And then from there, I thought we were more effective, building pressure, doing it together, winning the ball, and creating offensive transition.
In Spanish.
De los partidos, tácticamente, como defendemos, creo que es uno de los partidos de referencia positivo. No sé si es el mejor en la pregunta, pero es uno de los partidos buenos. Los primeros 15 minutos sufrimos porque Seattle tiene buenos jugadores entre líneas, central, en el área central, acumulan gente, números, y rompieron nuestra presión y adaptamos, reorganizamos, jugamos más compacto y crecemos la presión, pero haciéndolo más juntos, más compactos. Creo que fue más efectivo, ganamos la pelota y de ahí una transición ofensiva donde pudimos ser peligrosos en el ataque.
All right, we will take a question from Alex Morgan.
Hey, Luchi. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to speak to you. You kind of happened into this lineup and system, by circumstance, by chance, because of the absences and injuries. You've talked about, how you've been trying to adapt to what you've been dealt with. But the system that you played with these last two games, LAFC and in this game, it looks like it's sort of suiting the team really well, and the flexibility it gives you, in defense to play with maybe more of that three at the back and Paul Marie at wing back and get some good numbers behind the ball, and then also getting guys forward on offense and having Espinosa in dangerous spots and allowing you to get your best guys on the field at once. What do you make of this formation? Do you think that this is something that could become a long-term system that you use and that you found, and how hard is it going to be to move away from something that's worked so well these last two games?
Yeah, look, the game against LAFC and this game were similar in terms of the maybe the setup, but they were also different, right? And yeah, there are circumstances where when you have guys on national team duty or injuries, you have to try to play to your strengths and set up in a way that you have guys on the field that you believe can get the job done together, and know their opponent, right? The opponent's going to build a certain way. The opponent's going to attack a certain way. They'll press a certain way. So we have to be ready to deal with those phases. And, like you mentioned, 4 in the back, 5 in the back, we want to have variability in how we build. It doesn't have to look the same all the time because teams will always set up and prepare. And it's important that we are consistent with our principles, how we want to play vertically, attack, and then build pressure. But it can be done in different formations, different shapes. And I'm proud of our boys and, to adapt and to take the tactical information and try their best in the training and then try their best in the game. Look, the first 15 minutes, Seattle were breaking our press. Press had the right initial idea, but it was a little disconnected. We were getting initial pressure on the ball, but they were playing between the lines very well with these bounces and players coming to the ball and when they were closed down. So we made some adjustments, and the players made adjustments on the field to get more compact, build pressure together, and do it with better timing. And I thought we were much more effective. So credit to the guys, man. Credit to this group of players. This group, we played great as a team. And we were dangerous when we won the ball. We played forward. We found Christian, like you said, running in behind center backs. Jack Scahan, man, has had a great last few weeks to step it up for the team and play different roles in the midfield, on the wing. And like you said, Paul and Miguel had a good relationship to just defend together and then build attacks, and look, Judson and Gresso, that they haven't played often together due to whatever the circumstances, injuries and moments, but they had a great connection together to build pressure. And then look, we're going to get guys back like Cade. We missed Cade. We missed him for 10 games, and that's not easy to miss a player that is so vertical and creates danger for the opposition, because that gives more time and space for Jabo, for Mito, or for Christian or whoever. So and then Jackson, so congrats to them and having their opportunity with the national team. But we'll work in a positive way to get everybody full force here in the break, and we want to approach Leagues Cup with as many healthy guys as possible and taking on the next step against a very good opponent, which is going to be Portland, and then Tigres. And then get back to the league. So we're excited to have a little time off, enjoy family, friends, and then recharge the batteries and get back to work next week.
Next up, Jamon Moore.
Unmuted.
Hi, Luchi. Congrats on the win tonight. I want to talk a little bit more about Jack's game, but I also want to talk about your outside back. So for Jack, really kind of keying off that attack tonight, and looked like he just attacked space well. Looked like you asked him to play a bit of a 10 with a double pivot. And he seemed like he just recognized where there was an opportunity to go forward. And he's got surprising amount of pace and attacked that space really well, and helped create that penalty situation in the beginning. But just in many situations, recovered balls and played out well. And then your outside backs, you've just been getting so much production from them. And Miguel Trauco had the goal of the year for the team in terms of individual goals. And tonight even surpassed his previous goal with that particular goal. And it's crazy. He's never scored with the Peruvian team, but he's given you 3 goals this season. Can you talk a bit about your outside backs and a little bit more about Jack's contributions and what you thought about in terms of using him as a 10 tonight?
Muted.
Yeah, really proud of our group of outside backs. They are, first of all, they're great teammates. They support each other. Not all of them start at the same time. Mentioning those 3, and then there are moments where they are on the field. So you can tell they're always supporting each other. I think we have like flexibility. Paul can play right side, left side, wing back, full back, and then you have like Miguel, who the other day was in the midfield. And our build-up is narrow, sometimes wide. Has the ability to score goals, assists, and then the cop, right? It's like really rangy up and down, joins the attack, allows Christian to take inside spaces to attack. And so like all of them have their different strengths, but I think we have great depth in our fullback position, wing back position. That's helping carry us and get the results that the team needs.
Next up, Kevin Nguyen.
Hey, Coach. What are you noticing about Jack the more he plays? And can you say a word on Cameron's debut and what that means for how the youth is conducting themselves on this team?
Yeah, Jack is, just first of all, a great teammate, great mentality. Wasn't getting, he got injured in preseason, right? So he had that setback, and then he wasn't getting on the field. He wasn't even making certain rosters, and it's a competitive team. When everybody's healthy on this roster, it's hard to make this roster. So credit to his teammates, but he's always had a great attitude. He's always been open to feedback. And working hard in training, even when he was playing with second team, having a great attitude, fighting for the jersey, no matter the level. And then just little by little gaining confidence, little by little, smelling opportunities and then recently grabbing them. So, and he's showing that he's a great piece to this team and is an MLS player that can push the game forward and help this team reach its best. So I'm really proud of him. And I know he's continuing to be a great teammate and hungry to keep fighting for opportunities. And then you mentioned Cam Seeley. Congrats on his debut. He's earned that. What a great attitude and mentality as well. Came in like for Judson. He's earned that debut. He almost came in against Seattle away, but Cam was ready. And he's a great product coming through the academy. Has a lot to learn, but also has a high ceiling. And then who's no better to look up to than Tommy Thompson? 200 games tonight. The original homegrown player that just keeps finding a way to help this team get on the field. So congrats to Tommy as well.
We'll take a question from Michael Roberson.
Okay, Coach, there was a lot of excitement here at the stadium Saturday and Sunday with the U.S. women. Coincidentally, they won 2-0. So do you think that momentum, if you were watching what happened over here, was that really affecting what happened tonight where you guys came in and looked really good? You got a clean sheet from JT. You have Christian going into the history books for the team. So it was a really good, momentous game today. So do you think that frivolity of what happened over the weekend has something to do with it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's a correlation there. But what I can tell you is, the women's game is so important. My daughter plays, and we're going to be watching the World Cup and cheering for USA. That's for sure. And having it here locally at our stadium, it's an honor to host them and wish them the best for the tournament. I know there's a great turnout. It just helps the game grow. It helps the community grow and fall in love with the game. And the game is for everybody. Race, sex, it doesn't matter. The game is for everybody. So, seeing that here locally was awesome. And then for us, we have amazing fans. The energy, the intensity they gave us on a Wednesday night in the middle of the summer, there might be people traveling, but we had a great turnout just in terms of energy, in terms of enthusiasm, and it helped push us to get the win tonight. And we thank them for that.
And one final question from Marco Kolovich.
Hey, Luchi. Congrats on snapping the winless streak tonight. This is your second game with the new formation. Last week, it seemed it was susceptible to giving up counterattacks against LAFC, but tonight, you guys were able to maintain position pretty much throughout the entire game and not let them, establish any creativity on offense. What do you think attributed to the difference between tonight and last week? Thanks.
Well, I thought we actually started the game really well against LAFC, and I thought our game planning was pretty good. The guys were executing. We get a red card, and then it kind of shifted the momentum of the game. So that happens if you're a man down. Tonight was similar in terms of our principles trying to build pressure and win the ball and attack. But it was different also. Like Jack was more between the lines against LAFC. This one he was a little more expansive on that left side, recognized when to tuck in. So and then we had Jude Ingresso instead of Miguel. Miguel's in the back line. So similarities, but also different. And we have to be ready to tweak each game and each moment based on what's available. But what I want to grab are the things that have helped us compete. I feel like we've gained momentum in a positive way the last few weeks in terms of competing and responding, being down late in the game and against Galaxy here at home. In Stanford, it's for us to keep fighting, the fans to give us energy, and the guys to respond and tie the game. You just feel the guys are always ready to respond and compete. I'm proud to coach these guys. And then have a great tactical game like tonight to adjust and build pressure, win the ball, attack, play forward. Those are the things we want to do with energy, with enthusiasm, with intensity. And I always want to hold us accountable and responsible, giving the stadium and the fans energy. And we talk about it as a staff, we talk about it as a team, and we want to be right there with them in terms of energy. And I thought the boys did that tonight, and we want to keep doing that.
Thank you, everyone. We will be joined by a Earthquakes player shortly.
Good night, guys.
Wow, quite a bit of time from Luchi tonight. I think that's great that he was staying around to answer all those questions. Jamon, you brought
That's what it used to be like in the good old days, Phil. We'd sit there and chat for hours and hours.
Right,
press conference would never end.
Just chilling the whole time. No, Jamon,
just sitting around the locker room, just hanging with Wando and Shay and the boys, right?
Exactly. Cracking open.
So now that I'm here, you guys, everything is shut down, right?
It happened when I got here too, Phil. So
they got scared of. Jamie started talking about tactics and analytics, and they just closed everything down.
You just spoiled it. Once XG came into the picture, that was it. We were done.
That was right.
No more fun. Jamie, you asked about Jack Skane first here, and that really seemed to be one of the center points of the conversation. Again, going back to what we were saying earlier in the show, despite the crazy goal from Miguel Trauco, despite everything else happening in the match, we're focusing here a lot on Jack Skane. And I think this is one of the things that we have to continue to keep an eye on moving forward. And Alex, you asked about personnel changes, right? Like whether or not he found something tonight and last match against LAFC with some of the personnel changes that he had to make out of necessity. One of the things that he said is he wants to grab from these performances what will make the team competitive moving forward. I know that's kind of a general statement, but I think he's kind of where we're at in terms of he's trying to take from these matches what is going to make the team better moving forward. So Jamie, going back to you really quickly, you asked about Jack Skane. I'm kind of curious as to what you think about Luchi's response to your question and some of the other comments he made during the press conference.
Yeah, it's clear he's trying to stay grounded right now, right? Because players do come in and out of form. And, he is going to be getting some players back. It's certainly going to make some tough decisions. But here's kind of the fun part. You've got the opportunity with Leagues Cup to maybe do a little bit more tinkering, to try some experimental things, to put players out there that are quality, but maybe to try some combinations that you wouldn't want to risk, in a playoff hunt, which is what the Quakes are in right now, is they want to make sure that they secure those playoffs. So I like having the opportunity to have at least 2 games where these players come back, they can get reintegrated. And if you want to start, Jack Skane beside Montero, great, right? You want to win against these games. You want to be able to go forward in Leagues Cup, but if you don't, not the end of the world. The team should be focused on the playoffs right now, and you've got a couple games minimum to kind of figure out some of that type of stuff. You got a couple games to get Cade Cowell back, get him kind of reintegrated. See, how do you want to put people around him? Do you want him to start? Do you want to come off the bench? Maybe do some things that you wouldn't risk a game that you need 3 points at home in order to make the playoffs. Like you wouldn't risk a game like tonight on that level of experimentation if you had the entire squad. And so that's what we'll get to see, I think, at Leagues Cup. I'm sure Alex and I will get to get a press conference ahead of that, in which we will ask him what his strategy is. But he'll be cagey as always and not give us any.
Can we just stop and appreciate like how nice it is though, just to have a coach who can like solve issues mid-season, tactical issues, personnel issues as they come up, because we've seen Luchi Gonzalez this season repeatedly adapt to fit San Jose's needs. This team has evolved over the course of the season significantly. At the beginning of the year, they were not able to win on the road. They'd drop back into instant blocks, and they wouldn't be able to get any momentum going forward. That's no longer an issue. They were not able to hold late leads because of similar defensive issues. That's no longer an issue. They were getting a little bit predictable. That's no longer an issue. Luchi Gonzalez has faced issues repeatedly just that relate to the depth of this squad, the availability of the players, and he has problem solved and iterated and tinkered every time and found a solution every time. So I really appreciate that flexibility that he's shown. And I think that in part explains why he doesn't seem as wedded to this new system and this sort of new formation that he's found as maybe we have become in these last 2 games, having fun watching it, because it seems like he's thinking about it just as like another small, like series of changes and little experimentations and tinkering moments, rather than a sort of completely new philosophy and system that this team is playing. Because I was surprised that he wasn't, willing to take more credit for the way this team has played, that he didn't see these last 2 games as large of an improvement as it looked like from our perspective. But I think that's because he's constantly tinkering this team. He's not wedded to the formation. He's not wedded so much to the personnel that's on the field as he is about the principles of playing vertically, being dangerous in transition. And, no matter how you get there, depending on the shape and on the specific approach for the opponent, it's those core principles that you maintain. So that was a very, very interesting press conference. And I really appreciated his answer there, because it sort of made me reconsider that way that I've been thinking about these changes.
Well, and a lot of fans are talking right now about Leagues Cup in the chat, right? And what's the strategy going to be? Do you want to go all out and try to win, in Leagues Cup? Do you want to use it as a chance to try some combinations and experiment? Like I suggested, I'm not suggesting playing a weaker lineup. I am suggesting trying to figure out how to take some of these things that have been working over the past 2 to 3 games and figure out, with players coming back in and regaining health, like Montero, Jackson, Cade, and of course Daniel will be coming back as well. Like, is this time to get Daniel back into form? Is this time to give JT more time? Is this time to put out Nico? Who do you put beside Nico to protect Nico if you're going to do that? Like, there's a lot of fair questions here. Even with the existing lineup, if there's no signings whatsoever by Leagues Cup, there's plenty to do with the current lineup that I think needs to be figured out, given what has been working over the past couple games.
Jamon, can we just say, JT Marcinkowski, there was an extensive Slack thread by our wonderful patron Ryan McGrady in the Quakes Epicenter patron Slack, comparing JT Marcinkowski and Danielle's numbers. And I know we've been very complimentary of Danielle on the show. He's been one of the breakout players of the season for San Jose. But if you look at JT's underlying numbers this season, they're just as good as Danielle's. You see another clean sheet performance tonight after the solid performance last week at LAFC when he had to step in. Do you take him out of the starting lineup when he's playing well like this?
Well, so I don't think JT had to do much tonight. Like, so
there was a big stop in the first half.
Sure. There's always a stop every game, right? But these are stops that you expect your goalkeeper to make, right? He also got caught out and could have been in a bad position in one of those times that he stepped out. So that was not a shining moment for JT tonight. But, has JT been good the last couple of games? Absolutely. Has JT been better this season than last season and regained a bit of form? And I think, Alex, 2 points you made before, now he's got like a quality goalkeeper coach. Like, it's a good battle. And we talked to JT last week and I basically said, like, you got this competition with a goalkeeper who's going to push you. Like, what's that like? And to try to, pick his brain a little bit about it. So, for me, Danielle still has the edge for a few reasons. First off, when it comes to the types of shots, the high quality shots that Danielle is able to make, that JT is not quite there on, like in the volume, yes, the numbers are similar. In the higher quality shots, the goals minus expected goals ratio is decidedly in Danielle's favor. And what that tells me is that largely it's taking a very good shot to beat Danielle, and it's been taking less quality shot to beat JT. But in the aggregate, they've both had pretty good save percentages. It's about 75 to 78, and that was including penalties. If we take penalties out, maybe it's a slight adjustment. So look, the team has 2 quality goalkeepers. I think Leagues Cup is a great time to kind of figure out where you want to launch out, from here. But I can also understand the situation of, hey, if you're going to give the ball to Danielle going forward, maybe you give a couple games to JT here and say, hey, Leagues Cup is yours. Take us as far as you can take us, right? And give him the opportunity to get some more games that way.
No,
and stay sharp, because Daniel's
totally agree with that part.
Twice this season via injury, via red card.
Well,
like, you've had to
we're
lose
spending
Danielle.
so much time talking about the goalkeeper position, and this is not the position on the team that needs the most discussion, right? This is a part that is settled. We have 2 functional.
It's a nice debate. It's a nice debate.
Sure, but I think that what we should be talking about here is how thrilling it is to think about the fact that this team doesn't have to have like one set system moving forward. Luchi was talking about how like he's trying out different things. He's tinkering, as you said, Alex, and that makes the team more responsive to the opponents that they are playing rather than having to settle into one system from match to match. So like seeing, like even having the conversation about whether it is Jack Skane who should be starting based on the performances where we've seen him bursting through into these open spaces, or whether it's Jamiro Montero that we want because he has the experience coming from Philadelphia and then getting the time under both, the coaches that he has played under for the Earthquakes. I think that's where we should be talking about, not the goalkeeper position, because the goalkeeper position and the defense seem to be a lot more stable than these other parts of the pitch that I think demand more conversation. So central midfield and even the wings too. But let's be clear about something. It sounded to me from this press conference that Luchi feels that Cade Cowell, once he comes back to the team, is going to be an asset to the team. It sounds to me like he is going to be into the starting 11, that he's not going to be a player coming off of the bench.
Okay, well, you're 100% correct, I think, in the way you read Luchi's comments. I think clearly he's missed Cade Cowell, and for good reason, because we've had our gripes about Cade Cowell on the show in the past, mostly because his flaws are really obvious. The finishing in the final third,
right,
not being the best, and his 1v1 skills not being the best, because that's what you expect a good winger to do. Is the flashy dribbling and putting the ball in the bottom corner. But Cade Cowell does a lot of other things really, really well, and it's so good to see him showcase those talents with the U.S. men's national team, because I'm going to be honest, Phil, I like him with the U.S. men's national team better than I like him with the Quakes. When he's coming off the bench for the U.S. men's national team, when he's starting for the U.S. men's national team, they are creating space on the wings. They are making full use of the energy that he has and the chaos that he causes and his aggression when he's pressing. He looks really good for the U.S. men's national team right now. And you know what I think? I think that based on the way he's been playing with the U.S. men's national team, he should be looking for a move to Europe, right? I think that his performances with the national team have convinced me he doesn't have anything left to prove in San Jose. He's already proved what he's going to prove. And look, he can stay in San Jose and I'm sure be a consistent starter and solid contributor for the next 10, 15 years. But he said it himself at the beginning of this season. This is the season that he is targeting. This is the summer that him and his agent have been targeting a move abroad because he's 19 years old now, because he started getting the U.S. men's national team call-ups, because he was the best player at the U20 World Cup. I think now is the moment to hit send on the Cade Cowell transfer and to try to get him not to a top 5 European league necessarily, to a good Eredivisie team like Marcos Lopez at Feyenoord. Maybe not on the
I'm sorry,
same
looking
team.
at the chat here, Alex. People are
Because-
panicking at your comments.
Maybe not on the same team because I'm scared about both of them on the left, but I think that he should be playing in Eredivisie, playing in the French league, playing in another second division league.
Thank you, everyone, for waiting. Tonight, we
We're going to
have
Christian
Christian Espinoza, goal scorer and club assist record holder. We're going to start with a question from Jamon Moore.
Unmuted.
Hi, Christian. Congratulations on both a goal and an assist tonight. You are now the all-time leader in assists in club history, so you'll get to hang that over Shea the next time you get to talk to him. So congratulations. Obviously, Miguel Trauco's goal was amazing. Looked like you had him picked out the whole way. Talk to us a little bit about what you saw in terms of him being available for that corner and the finish that he gave, which was world class. Thank you.
Muted.
Yes, to be honest, we don't work that kind of set pieces. We try to put the ball inside the box because we have a tall guy, great headers. But in the moment I saw Miguel open and he raised me the hand, so I tried to play him and it was amazing work.
We'll take a next question from Alonso Contreras.
Thank you. ¿Cómo estás, Cristian? Felicitaciones por tu asistencia número 51. Pero quería preguntarte también un poco lo que hablabas de Trauco, ¿no? ¿Qué significa que tu asistencia, que bates un récord, venga con este golazo, ¿no? Que siempre va a quedar también en la historia de San José, ¿no?
Sí. Fue, la verdad, fantástico porque, como dije en la respuesta anterior, no fue una jugada que la teníamos preparada. Simplemente yo había marcado otra jugada y lo vi justo a Miguel que me levantó la mano apenas y lo vi solo y bueno, traté de jugársela a él porque vi una oportunidad. Yo sabía que él podía pegarle muy bien de primera y bueno, salió un lindo gol.
Next question from Kevin Nguyen.
Hey, hey, Christian. You're in your 5th season here in San Jose. When you look back on your time here, how is it compared to your first impressions, and how will you remember this part of your career?
I remember when I arrived here, I was very excited to play here, to play in MLS, to have this experience. And to be honest, I don't expect what happened after. So I'm really happy with this moment, where all the things that have been happening before, and very thankful with my teammates.
We'll take a question from Titus Wilkerson.
Congrats, Espinoza, on making history. Obviously, when that moment happened, were you aware that you had set that mark in San Jose Quakes history, or was that just kind of like everything happened so quickly?
No, I'm realizing the moment, and also after the kickoff, I hear a voice of the stadium saying I'm the club assist leader. So make me feel so happy, to be honest.
We'll take one final question from Michael Roberson.
Okay, so what would you say the year 2023 means to you, that you're an all-star and now you're in the record books for the team? You're in there with Landon Donovan and Wando. You're up there in that list, Mount Rushmore. So what has this year meant to you? And will you forever remember 2023 as being maybe the most important year you've had as a player?
Made me feel very happy because I can see all the effort, all the sacrifice that I did in every single training session since I arrived here is paying off now. And also in the same time, I try to keep that focus, to keep going in that direction, to try to help the team, and I think that is the most important thing for me.
Ryan,
Thank you.
Ryan, is it okay if I jump in with one last question here quickly?
Yes, of course.
Thanks, Christian, for taking one more. I'm just briefly curious, in these last two games, if you feel like your role has changed at all with the new personnel in the lineup and, the tactical adjustments that Luchi's made, and, how you've seen your role change and whether that's allowed you to find more space in behind.
Yes, we've been working in that tactic, but we don't apply too much since the last game. I think that, yes, I can be more next to the box, running in behind of the back line, trying to find spaces. So, yes, I feel very, very comfortable in this tactic, these positions, and also we have players that we can adapt and different tactics that Luchi tried to do.
Thank you, everyone, for tonight.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
I love that, Alex. Kind of butting in there in the last second and getting one more question into to Christian. I mean, it's so similar to what you do here. Jamon, you're on mute right now, by the way, buddy.
Oh yeah, I got to keep going on mute with this new setup. Yeah, what is with like all these people showing up for a press conference tonight? I have no idea who these people are. There's three new people on the press conference tonight that have never been on a press conference before.
During the press conference, yeah.
Jamon,
there's a fantastic question in there too about
are they on because of him breaking the record? Are they from MLS or something, or where are these guys from, Alex?
They're from all over. They were subtweeting you on Twitter as well. There's some Earthquakes media beef starting on Twitter right now.
I love that. I'm ready for this.
What do you mean subtweeting me? Like, what's going on? Dish, what's going on?
They're taking objection to your tactical questions, Jamon. They want less tactics and conversation and more sound bites.
Oh,
so who are these people?
I don't even know what to say to that.
I'm on your side, Jamon. I'm on your side.
No, you're not.
I don't even know what we're talking about. Who are these people and where did they come from? That's what I'm asking.
Out of the there are always reporters that come out of the nether when the Earthquakes start playing well, Jamon. You'll be surprised. Before tonight's game, they had to ask around to see who's coming because the press box was going to be full today, which is a first in a number of years, Jamon.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Yeah.
All right.
Eagerly anticipating.
I don't know. I'm the new guy around here. I don't know what to say about that.
These guys they're all of a sudden coming into the league because like Messi's coming into the league. So now like all of a sudden people want to be in the press corps for the San Jose Earthquakes. I don't know.
It gets the clicks, Jamon. It gets the engagement. It gives you the clout.
Jamon. You know what they say? One day you're doing an exclusive one-on-one interview with Jack Skane, and the next day you're doing a Messi transfer news story. And
we almost made it another show without talking about Lionel Messi. Saying.
That's right. Jamon, well, he's not going to be here this year. So what's the point of talking about him on a quick show?
Jamon, we broke for the press conference right before you were about to combat my Cade Cowell take.
What would I be combating? I don't remember. Like we both agree he should come off the bench. So what else is there to combat?
Is now the time for Cade Cowell to move to Europe?
Right.
Oh well, I think like you have to expect that it could happen. If you're setting up this transfer window, unless you are Luchi and your phone is dead and you're not getting Cade Cowell calls from Europe, which is not what you're hearing, in terms of the European side of the press. Because he's been rumored at Newcastle, he's been rumored at Bayern, he's been rumored. Who am I missing here? There's like couple other clubs.
Stop.
So, no, look, I mean, no, these things are actually being said.
It's true. No, I know they are. It's just some of those teams are just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, he's a great Saint Maximum potential replacement because apparently Newcastle's going to let him go. Anyway. Look, I kind of agree with Alex. I don't think necessarily holding out for a Big Five destination is the right thing to do unless, you got the opportunity to actually get him into the first team. I think if you're looking at a second team or you're looking for a sign and then a loan, it's not really the best situation for the player. And what you want to try to do is get him into a situation where he's going into a team that wants him and that will play him. Even if he has to start off on the bench, because he brings a lot of energy off the bench. That's a great place for him. So regardless of the league, regardless of the team, I think it's important to get him into a destination where he's going to play without some sign of some sort of loan out to another team.
This is exactly or very similar to what happened with Ricardo Pepi, right? Like there are some parallels there. He went off to Europe, he went to Germany, if I'm not mistaken, and then ended up he was at Augsburg, and then he got loaned to Groningen, where he actually was valued and got playing time and started scoring goals, and he gelled with the team. So we definitely don't want to see a situation where Cade goes off on a loan and he's not valued. I think there's a lot more that the Quakes can get. With the deal. I'm looking over here at the chat right now, and I noticed that Arky mentions to get the money for him now, and I kind of feel like that's a big part of that. Like we're kind of implying that this is the case, but like, is this just a matter of the Quakes hedging? Like, Cade Cowell is performing well right now for the U.S. men's national team. Do we think that maybe he doesn't reach the potential that we think he has, and you sell him before folks realize he doesn't have that potential? Because that's kind of the feeling I'm getting here from folks. I mean, do you think that's the case, Alex, or do you think it's simply a matter of getting him for the value that he's worth? He is going to have that. He's going to reach that ceiling that a lot of us say that he has.
I don't actually think that's the case. I thought that was the case at the beginning of this season, Phil. I thought that was the case at the beginning of this season when he had poor stretches last season. He wasn't really making goal contributions this season. And we weren't seeing the kind of leaps and bounds improvements or spectacular runs or really exciting moments that we'd seen when he first broke onto the scene in 2021. But this season, I've actually started to appreciate more what he provides off the ball with his aggression, what he, how important he is to this San Jose team. And then also seeing him as the best player at the U20 World Cup, hands down, seeing him as a real star for the U.S. men's national team. He was one of the best players in their match against the, Bosnia and Herzegovina in Los Angeles back last December. Let's not forget that. He's been solid at the Gold Cup, making a clutch penalty. Given the way he's played for the national team, I think it's shown that he can step up to that next level and he can make contributions at that next level. He has the skills that he needs at that next level, and it's the right move in his career at this stage to go to that next level. And he's not Alphonso Davies. That's what we've learned, over these last 2 years, right? He's not going to walk into the Bayern Munich starting lineup for $20 million, dollar transfer. But is he worth $5 or $6 million to a team in the Eredivisie who is fighting for the Europa League and fighting for, possibly an outside shot at the Champions League? Yeah, I think 100%. I think if Marcos Lopez can step into the Feyenoord team that wins the Eredivisie and is going to play in the Champions League next season, then Cade Cowell can very reasonably be worth that much and contribute that much as well.
Yeah, keep in mind that a lot of the fees that MLS teams have gotten for players going to Europe is because of the relationship between the agent and the clubs that they're going to. And this is what's worked really well in FC Dallas, is that the players have pretty much the same agents. The agents have the contacts over in Europe, and they've been able to move the players and do decently well bringing back money to FC Dallas. Same thing in Philadelphia. So I don't know, Cade's agent. It's not someone that I chat with. I know other people in the press do. But for me, like, I don't know if they've got those level of contacts to really be able to make the types of moves for the types of money that we've seen from other players that have made the move over to Europe. There's still a good bit of hype around him, certainly off the World Cup and these performances for the national team. There should, he's going to look like, okay, this kid can play at international level. Certainly he can do pretty well in Europe, and we'll see. I know some people are concerned. Marcelo was bringing up, are we confident that Fisher wouldn't just pocket the profit? Look, I'll be very honest about this particular type of comment because we see it frequently. There is a requirement that if a player is transferred to Europe, that the club gets a certain amount of that transfer fee in GAM. So it must be reinvested back into players. What some owners do is they use that to reinvest back into the academy or into facilities or into staffing situations, like maybe expand the scouting department, expand the data department, expand the video department, do some more front office hiring if you need to. So it's not just like, oh, if there's a transfer fee for Cade, does that automatically mean if we don't see it, in players that it's being, just pocketed? No, it probably doesn't mean that. It probably means it's going into parts of the club that you don't hear about where the investment's going and where we've seen investment more recently going. My guess is if you get a good transfer fee, you'd see a bit of it coming back for players. You see a good bit of it going back into the club and to improve, the situation across a number of departments in the club. I know people are going to be cynical about this. I can't help.
No. Actually, Jamon, I'm really glad you brought up.
I think that's actually true. Talking with the front office in a number of situations, they have investments they would like to make, and they know that selling players is the way to make sure that some of those investments they would like to make happen. So
right. Yeah, actually really appreciate you bringing that point up, Jamon, because I think a lot of us are quick to get cynical about that. Some of us, like me, are A's fans, and we have a certain feeling about John Fisher.
Sure, absolutely. I completely understand that.
But Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer have different structures in place to ensure the growth of the league. And I think it's a lot different in Major League Soccer. We do know that it's a single entity system, at least right now. And so it makes things a lot different. And that's one of the big things about it, is the way that the money is allocated to promote the growth of the league. So thanks for bringing up that point. I think
and also someone mentioned in the chat that John Fisher was at the game tonight. So people are asking, like, does Fisher care about this team? He's had a heck of a lot of games. He was at the game. He was at the game tonight. And the first owner of the Earthquakes was also at the game tonight. If you didn't catch that, the Earthquakes posted that on social media. I'm pretty sure John Fisher was probably helping host him. So, he was at the game tonight.
All right. I think this is a good opportunity for us to head to the final segment of the show. Final takes, your closing thoughts. Alex Morgan, it's been a minute since you've spoken. What do you got?
This is a great win to take into the Leagues Cup break, Phil. This win keeps them in the playoff race comfortably in a playoff position without having to start to worry about other teams breathing down your neck. According to the latest Jamon Moore simulations, the Quakes only need realistically 2 more wins in order to make the playoffs. And I don't know if you can pull up, Jamon, while I'm speaking, the other playoff odds here from 538 and Sports Club Stats. Those are the 2 reliable bookies that we go to. But I'll bet you it's close to 90%.
Did you just call 538 reliable? Did you not remember the 2016?
No, hang on. Anything, there's a probability. You might have just caught that very slim probability.
Right. Okay.
There's always it's a probability.
I think what Alex is saying is he's buddies with Nate Silver and he's promoting 538.
Yeah, I play poker with Nate Silver.
The answer is the Quakes are 85% to make playoffs and 78% to make round 1 and 2% to win MLS Cup.
So that is a good number. I would take those numbers. If you asked me at the beginning of the season, going into Leagues Cup, where the Earthquakes, where would they be sitting right now? I'd take those numbers. And more than that, I feel like they're on the right trajectory at this time in the season, how they reached a really rough point at the end of June and have now rebounded with a solid performance in the California Classico, a solid draw at LAFC, and a big win over the Seattle Sounders. This is a really important game at home for the Earthquakes to show that they mean business, that they can adapt to adversity and be resilient. And this was a huge win for them. And it gives me confidence that in addition, in the summer transfer window, a week into the transfer window, now it's 7 days since the gates opened, that the Earthquakes can, push to be a team that is competing in the playoffs for the first time since 2012.
Jamon, do you share this confidence? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, because we've kept the Slack kind of up to date in terms of the simulations every couple games or so. And, we talked about the magic number for the Earthquakes to get a home playoff position. This was several games ago. The magic number was 6. Guess what? It's still 6. And after tonight, that becomes 5. The Quakes have the chance to still even get a home playoff position. And by the way, we're sitting in 5th right now. So we're only one spot out, right? So look, and now to clinch a playoff spot, we're projecting more 3 to 4 wins, depending upon which spot we're talking about, whether we're talking an 8th, a 9th, a 7th. You're looking at 3 to 4 wins, and every win, really helps. The Quakes have drawn a lot of games this year, but ultimately that might help them over another team with fewer wins, but you really want to get those wins. And so nights like tonight are incredibly important. They need to come back after Leagues Cup. They're going to have a difficult schedule. I mean, people looked ahead at the schedule and said, how do you get, 5-6 wins out of this group? But this is a night tonight where you look at Seattle and go like, how do you get a win out of Seattle tonight? Well, they found a way, right? So, they need to keep being able to get back on this track of getting these home wins with another game, another win, maybe 2 on the road. They'll for sure be in the playoffs. You want to get a home field, go get 2 wins on the road, get 4 more wins at home. You will be on a home field for the playoffs. It's that simple.
Look, for me, as we close out the show, I think one thing that is making me really happy about this team is the difference that we're seeing with the coaching of Luchi Gonzalez and his approach tactically, his approach to the season. And, if you were to compare that, for example, to what we saw with Matias Almeida, and not just to trash on Matias Almeida's system. I mean, there were some things that I think are parallel to what we're seeing now. We have a coach who loves his players, who is proud of his players and the way they perform. But Luchi Gonzalez has shown that he is willing to, as you said, Alex, to tinker and try out different things to see what works for this team. And I saw in the comments tonight, a lot of people were giving pushback about Jack Skane. Maybe we shouldn't be getting so excited about him thus far. But this, to me, is like finally we're seeing the perfect puzzle piece going into the space that has been one of the trouble areas for the team this season. So I think that's why a lot of us are so excited about the prospect of Skane playing in that position. So again, Luchi Gonzalez taking a different approach to these matches out of necessity, but moving forward, going into the Leagues Cup, he's going to have an opportunity to try different things. And I think that for me is incredibly exciting. And so I share the positive outlook to the future games that both of you have kind of shared at the end of the show here. And I'm really excited to see how the Quakes do once they get back into league play, because for me, that's the important thing for this team, to do well in the league matches, to get a good position in the playoffs so that they can get a home game, because we know that the teams who play at home during the playoffs are the teams that win and advance into the closer to the MLS Cup final, which is, I think, what a lot of us are hoping for. So with all that being said, I want to invite folks to check out our website, quakesepicenter.com. Right there at the bottom of the screen, you can see our producer has also added on the Patreon. So if you go to quakesepicenter.com, you can find all of our content, including links to the YouTube page, the social media, and the Patreon. And the Patreon is the place where you can join us as a member of our contributing group for things like joining the Slack. So for $5 a month, you can join the Slack. That is what Jamon was just referencing in terms of the simulations. We have conversations throughout the week about the team. We talk during the game. We get all of our contributors involved. We have Colin, Jamon, and A. We have Alex. Everyone's on there contributing to the Slack. So make sure you check that out. $5 a month if you want to become a patron. If you're willing to contribute at least $2, you can also get access to early access to some of the materials that we post in terms of articles and video content as well. Make sure you follow us on social media, on Instagram and Twitter and Threads. We are on all of those social media, so follow us on there at Quakes Epicenter. And I think that's about it. Like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications, and be sure to join us after every match right here on the Aftershock. Have a good night, everybody.